Good evening, dear listeners, and welcome to the Dreaming Prophet. Now flip that switch and turn on that shaped body pillow, kids, to light your way through the night, because it is going to be a long one. My name is Lavanya.
I'm Astro.
And I'm xaviul.
This is a Blackout Club show for Blackout Club players with minimal speculation, all lore, and a focus on the known facts. Our topic of the day is dreams.
Tonight's spoiler warning is that we will have brief spoilers for the end of the Dancefera/Witness arc. Additional spoiler warning is for the dreams. We will be covering a number of different dreams from a number of different gods throughout this episode. If you're looking to come into that system completely unspoiled, go ahead and hold off. As for our content warnings, there will be joking mentions of fetishes. Thank you, Laughlass. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you for every soul that unwittingly forced us to know these things about these characters. It is not appreciated, but this is an episode about dreams, so I guess we needed something to haunt our nightmares.
And today we have another guest. And no, Lavanya, it's not me.
Unfortunate. We freshly kidnapped this guest straight from the morning booth, so dear listeners, be gentle.
Hi, my name's Leia. You can catch me all around the internet using the handle SaltyLeighaSolo and co-hosting the monthly podcast Redacre Neighborhood Watch. Fun fact, when I'm not scurrying around Redacre, you'll find me in the Discord spreading my agenda of creepy baby AI.
Is it an agenda or is it the truth we all just need to embrace?
It's definitely the truth. You'll get it one day.
So, what is the ritual system? Enhanced horror consists of two parts, the enhanced horror system and a secondary, quote, asynchronous mode called the ritual system. In the latter, players make requests or ask questions and the performers reply, end quote. We covered enhanced horror in episode 12, Enhanced Horror and You. This episode, we're covering the rituals.
So, rituals are indirect interaction. You are speaking out into the ether, and while they will be listening, you may or may not be answered. Out of universe, they have to be about 30 seconds or less. In the past, people sent off like 5-minute prayers. While these are cool, they're not feasible for the team to continuously manage.
In universe, they're considered rituals that call up a daemon. When you send off a prayer, the daemon is watching through your eyes. They presumably hear all prayers. They do not, however, reply to all of them.
The voice, as in the one who speaks for Speak as One, is unique in that they are a human who receives ritual prayers, in-game, not in real life, as always. These come to them in the form of dreams, and they reply the least out of all of the gods due to the difficulty of replying to them. Also probably due to the difficulty of syncing together two different voice actors speaking at once. I don't know how audio works. I'm just here to appreciate the team's hard work, not understand it.
Invoking a god's name on a mass scale can force them to answer inquiries. For most gods, this is easy, but for the 8th, otherwise known as the Hunter or Murder God, he's kept his name a secret. This means we can't purposefully invoke his name to strengthen or summon him.
The Hunter's unusual in other senses too. In the Discord server, Null gave players some advice on sending prayers.
Quote, anyway, with a few exceptions, which you don't have to worry about in any long-term way, voices aren't aware of other lights you send, and even expect or hope that you have intel on their siblings. So go wide, have fun, end quote.
The Hunter is fairly unique among the gods in that he is the only one who has routinely sniped other prayers. When this was brought up to Null, his only response was,
quote, well, the Hunter breaks the rules, end quote.
In today's episode, we are deep diving into the dreams. For the nitty-gritty, and to reiterate from the last episode,
Dreams are a combination of prayer audio and a recorded message from a voice answering. There are two types of dreams, public and private. Public dreams help tell the story. If a dream has important info about gods, the plots, the storyline, it is sometimes made public. Public dreams appear to all players over time. You get them after successful missions.
Private dreams are a prayer response sent directly to the player who asked it. These may or may not become public later. They appear as a glowing sleeping bag in the boxcar. To play the message, sleep in the sleeping bag. However, once you play the message, you cannot replay it. Write it down or record it.
From a narrative point of view, what are dreams?
Dreams are a method of conveying information to the players on the regular. They're the most common form of contact, but they also exist to establish the characters of the daemons. Interactions are rare, but dreams are common, and in most cases, almost all players will receive them.
Daemons have specific themes and patterns, and they rarely break fully away from those, even in joke dreams, so knowing this is key.
Dreams also introduce core rules for the world. Daemons want you to say their names. They want more hosts so they can have more power and influence. Many want you to live the command of their name. They can also issue directives for players to follow and signal the start of new plot arcs.
Unless, again, you're Spider's 8th and you just live in a cave and should not be counted.
Public dreams have been around for a very long time at this point. While we don't have the date off the top of our head that beta began for the Blackout Club, we do know that early access ended August 2019. So when new players pick up the game, they have a backlog of old dreams.
There's a lot of variety in the dreams that get answered, but some of these dreams are pretty timeless. It means there's no real relevance to anything that's going on in the timeline or the game at the moment that it was recorded, so they're pretty easy to just pick up and go. And then there's others that are specifically linked to certain periods in the game's timeline.
There are only a certain amount of dreams in circulation at any given point in time. These will regularly change. A player who starts in October will not be receiving the same dreams as one who starts in December.
Null says, quote, "At some point soon, you can probably guess why. Dreams will filter down even further to a smaller list of things that remain crucial to the story for new players starting now." End quote.
Some important notes before we begin. Dreams don't have official titles, but we need to give them nicknames in order to talk about them. So all the nicknames you hear are our words, not canon.
Also, the sacrifice wheel that appears when you send a prayer wasn't always present in the game. Most of the early dreams were sent without it. Players were expected to say their god of choice's name out loud. This was important because it meant that all unaddressed prayers could be answered by anyone. As of right now, that's not the case. As long as your prayer is addressed and it's sent to the right god, then it will only be heard by that god, unless it's Spider's Hunter.
But let's start off pretty early on with the mirror.
As a request, I'd like to be in the mirror all the time. It's less spooky that way.
So, this is an early dream from Redacre, and as you could hear, it's pretty messed up. After the cull, he was so damaged that his voice was just smashed to bits with the rest of him, I guess.
In order to understand his dreams, we need to record and reverse the audio. This one says, quote, "If you could see yourself in the mirror, it wouldn't be you anyway. It would be me." End quote.
Redacre says these were failed attempts at contact. He answered only a few rituals this way. He doesn't answer dreams out loud anymore, and he only talks to players via text encounters.
Let's be honest. It's probably a good thing that he only answered a few like this, because all of them were really creepy.
In this dream, the player is referencing how the game engine actually renders reflections. In most of the mirrors in-game, you cannot see your PC, or you can see them very blurrily. The team turned this from what could have been perceived as a bug into a tool to showcase lore, which is pretty nifty.
It's not a bug anymore, it's a feature.
The next dream we've coined as Dance Dance.
I remembered that Dance Rose wanted to hear another song. Maybe something that they could dance to. Well, I found this song called Dance Dance. Maybe I'll like it.
I like where your head's at, cutie. Would you want to send me another? Maybe something you wrote? I'll send you something nice.
This is an early dream from Dance for Us. In the beta, she asked players to write her songs and music, and this is the first public example of that request.
This particular public dream spread the call to all players. Once everyone heard it, Those that were interested could write their own music and send it to her via a prayer.
Eventually, many did, and because they did, the gift she mentioned was given to all players. It's the emote, Gift of Dance. This is at least part of her name in Old Tongue. New players receive it automatically on the floor of the boxcar. Many players have also continued to write her songs, even up to her death, which I love. It's a really creative way to send praise.
At least we'll always have that part of her.
I cry.
This stream we're calling Remembering Lost Time.
Help me remember the lost time.
Help you remember, subject Cyril. Oh, be careful, dear student. That is what your friend, Bells, asked of my late brother. And it did not end well for either of them.
This is an early dream from the Measure Cuts. There are only a few dreams that reference the events of the prologue, and this is one of them.
The prologue isn't always clear on some of the things that happened prior to it, but this illustrates that. According to this dream, Bells wanted to remember time that she lost. The late brother referred to in this dream is the Redacre. At this time in the game, all the gods ranged from disinterest to flat-out distrust to actual dislike in the Redacre. They had to be convinced that they should deal with him by their followers.
The next dream is Are You Real?
They say seeing is believing, gods. Just show me. Are you real?
I am called the Measure Cuts. This reminds us that to observe is to change, to alter. That said, it was your kind who first called us gods. I prefer more precise names.
This is an early dream from the Measure Cuts. Unlike most of the other gods, the Measure Cuts name is not a command. Unlike speak as one or dance for us, in this dream he explains roughly what his name means. It's an observation, or a statement of perceived fact, not an action and not a command.
He, In Her Teeth, and the Redacre all break the formula of verb first or command names. According to Noel, daemons with command names are stronger than others. The ones who break this formula have done so on purpose.
I just think they want to be edgelords personally. Our next dream is magic.
Can you explain to us the powers that come from the dead?
Lulu, this is a good one. Your kind is obsessed with ritual. Though my siblings disagree, I do not believe it is this absurd word, magic. But manipulating it does seem to produce results. It seems your expectations, no matter how irrational, have great leverage over us.
This is another early dream from the Measure Cuts. It was pretty much for a while that he was the only one that was really trying to, answer questions. Probably because he's a big nerd and likes to hear himself talk. This dream introduced the power of belief.
Belief has a fuck ton of weight in this game. Many other dreams mention this, and even some of the other game assets. What we, the children and the players, believe will have real tangible effects in the game world. Examples of this in lore are things like the deck, which was confirmed early on by the idea as only working because the children believe in it. Clap if you believe you can fling yourself off a cliff and be perfectly fine. Now, this does have limitations, not on the cliffs, not on the size of the cliffs, not on the depth, but on how far it extends in affecting the game world. Players have spoken about wanting to make player gods before, but unfortunately it was confirmed as outside of the scope of what is already a very, very ambitious game. We can't make new gods, but we can shape the old ones. Tell TMC to call SAO. Dial now.
This next dream we're calling The Moon.
I wanted to say thanks for helping us. If I would have a prayer, I'd be pretty down to go to the moon if you had time, but no worries.
I can tell you this. The place you think of as the moon is obviously not. I would never put you in a place you could not breathe unless you asked me to. We do that when time grows short. If it happens to you, it is not a good sign.
This was an early dream from Die For You. The moon is one of the special locations in the game, away from the town of Redacre. Many players are taken there for first-time interactions or important ones, or just to save them from the shape.
The moon is a blackout. It isn't a physical place. SAO tells us that in order to reach it, players essentially become comatose in the physical world. That's the danger Die For You alludes to. Some people don't survive the strain.
The moon as a symbol is our next dream.
Are you able to tell us about the moon or the saturation control?
The moon is but a symbol, my dearest one. The light from one ancient source, reflected, taking on new meaning. So it is with us. Younger by the reckoning of your kind than our merciless elders too. But, though we were once part of them, our message differs, especially concerning you.
Now, this is a dream from Die For You. We find out during this that the moon is not in the sky in-game. It has been hidden on purpose. It does still exist. This is not a crossover with Dragon Ball Z. We just can't see it. If you look at the deer statue in the middle of town, you'll notice it actually casts two shadows. This is pretty fucking cool. One is on the house from the horrible fog light that somebody's running out their battery with, and one is on the road in the opposite direction.
I thought this was a bug, and when I reported it, the team was kind enough to respond with this. Quote, "That shadow is cast by the moonlight. Notice the blue that is removed where the shadow is." End quote.
Even though many of us, including myself, follow other gods, in fiction, our kids grew up in Redacre and have been exposed to Speak as One enough that we are at least slightly saturated. Some of us have just drank all the Kool-Aid and are asking for seconds. Lavanya.
I have to be soggy because the rest of you just won't get into the kiddie pool.
So that means that Speak as One is able to manipulate what we see when we go out at night. This is also why the Lucids have weird faces that keep me up at night, personally. It's to protect their identity, and also probably like some emotional manipulation and terrorism.
This dream is Hunt the Strong.
I will be the one that feasts on the blood of the innocent.
Do you hear yourself? Innocence is not a nutrient. Hunt the strong, the quick, the special. Prove to me that you deserve what they possess. They will feast.
This is a dream from the Hunter, also known as the cartoon shark. The Hunter has spoken in dreams before, really early ones in fact, so this isn't his first dream, just a notable one. Like Dance for Us, he used dreams to issue a directive to players, prove yourself to him. Unlike Dance for Us, he's a bastard.
In later interactions, he's promised exaltation to players who do follow his command. At the time of recording, he's still looking for strong players. Apparently, nobody's been beefy enough for him, mentally or physically. If you want to get involved, send a prayer to pretty much anyone, especially Speak as One. Text #SpeakAsOne and address the Hunter. He wants you to tell him how you've been strong with any kind of strength. Tell him about lifting weights. Tell him about your math homework. Tell him about that internet argument you won at all costs. Just let him know he's waiting by the phone.
This dream is Your Friend Betrayed Us.
What was that? You told her we don't like deaths, and that one almost... Why? She just needs a reason. Oh God.
News.
Your friend betrayed us all. Anger, tears, their tools. Like news, we are cursed by the tyranny of words. So even now, we suffer with her. We may quail at what must be done. The angel will not. That is why it must exist. It is judgment, given form. We are grateful for its sacrifice, and hers.
This dream is from Speak as One. This was a response to one of many prayers that was sent to Speak as One following a particularly explosive God encounter. This particular one was sent by a wonderful player named Demon's Muse.
A player named Novocaine once followed Speak as One. He was loyal and had been inducted into SAO's inner circle. However, upon talking to the followers of other gods, he decided to leave SAO's service. He sent a prayer in apology and explanation, without announcing who he intended to follow instead.
Naturally, Speak as One was pissed. Like, Speak as One is all about unity and being a hive mind, and the moment you stray away from that, man, do they go off. Speak as One came into his game and set the shape on him instantly. They were furious, and even when Nova was begging for forgiveness, they just kept the shape on him. During the ensuing conversation, SAO constantly alerted the shape to where Nova was on the map as he tried to make it to the exit cave. His friends revived him twice, but unfortunately, he never made it to the cave.
Players were distraught, horrified, aghast. To date, nothing had ever quite happened like this. However, the team decided to use this as an opportunity to showcase what Speak as One is really capable of and what they will do to those who betray them. Because Speak as One, as one of the more mild antagonists compared to the Hunter, can sometimes end up as something of a joke in the community. But it's worth remembering, all of the daemons are capable of fucking over the player characters and the children. It's a matter of luck, more so than anything else, that they have not.
But let's take a moment to steer away from the travesty of what happened to Novo and talk about some prayers that we just like. There's a lot of dreams out there, as we've said before, but the good news is that they're available to everyone. Here, we decided to highlight our favorites and talk about them briefly.
One of my favorite dreams is the In Her Teeth, Stalker, and Abyss dream. A kid brings a stalker to In Her Teeth, and she responds, "A stalker? For me, I see. They are underage, so I will do what I can to keep the body alive. The mind? Well, they shall behold the fate of all things just as I foresee it. And take it from me, the abyss is not alive. It does not gaze back, but it takes everything you have, and it grows." I love this dream because you can see how viciously calm In Her Teeth is. I imagine to the stalkers, her voice is like being cooked alive 1 degree at a time. You don't even know you've been consumed by the abyss until the last bite.
In Her Teeth is just amazing, and this dream is just a very lovely example of her characterization and also the ominousness of her, because she doesn't just represent death, but she is still pretty fucking scary.
She's pretty metal.
But don't worry, if you're underage, she won't just kill you. She'll just break your mind instead. So thoughtful, so caring.
Stalkers beware. Another dream I really enjoy is from the 8th, and it's the Kevin dream. The 8th says, "Kevin, ha ha ha. I am to kneel before someone called Kevin, my delicious little runt. I could be bound and gagged. I could be asleep, your razor at my throat, and it wouldn't save you. But I still wouldn't bother eating you, or I would probably turn simple overnight. I would be afraid of getting any Kevin in my bloodstream. So, TLDR, we just need to sacrifice Kevin to the ape, and that's how we get rid of him.
Perfect!
He told us his weakness all along, guys.
It was always there.
This is what we mean by foreshadowing.
My favorite dream is one from the Measure Cuts about Christmas. A player asks for milk and cookies for Christmas and says, "Love you guys, moi." The Measure Cuts says, "A little late for Christmas, I'm afraid. But you should know that I detect nothing supernatural about your messiahs, nor the primitive revelry they cohort. But if it's any comfort, yes, I suppose I love you too." I find this dream very interesting because in pop culture we tend to interpret science as unfeeling and neutral. But this dream shows that the Measure Cuts may not be as neutral as he professes himself to be.
Damn Cinderes.
My second favorite dream is the crazy demon shit one. A ritual says, "I need help, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and don't be doing no crazy demon shit." And the I Dare responds to this one, and the only thing he does is laugh.
The only thing more terrifying than laughter is like weird demon backwards laughter. My favorite dream is one of my personal dreams that, for some reason, just never seemed to go public. You'll see for yourself probably why it didn't. But I asked Laugh Last about how he felt about Seed the Grudge when she first came onto the scene, since she split off from his ex and all. And the response I got back was, well, I feel like it probably went down in infamy. And I'd probably say that Laugh Last forgets we're kids sometimes, but let's be real, he remembers. He just doesn't care. What he said to me was, "Xaviul. Wow, so the Angel of Paybacks finally stronged her way into the VIP room? Hubba hubba. I don't know why, but I like a woman who can end me. That is, if she's a woman these days. I honestly don't know, and I honestly don't care. As long as she looks like she can slowly pinch off my air supply. You see, like a lot of comedians, I'm what you'd call into pressure."
Oh no, I repressed all of this.
This is the only acceptable kink-shaming moment.
Laugh Lass is just a proud kinkster out here, flying his kinkster flag in my personal dreams. Thanks, God. My second favorite dream is thankfully a bit easier to digest. The player reached out to the Measure Cuts and told him that if you want to become a god, you have to be a vegetarian. The Measure Cuts, as you probably realized by now, is a pretty, dry guy who doesn't seem to really like a whole bunch of bullshittery. Unless you're pretending to kiss him, I guess. But his response was, "Stop eating meat to become a god? You're going to give me a nosebleed and it is your nose. Your hypothesis is problematic. Let us first define this word, God. Must it merely respond to a prayer or alter belief, create visions? As to miracles, I would say we need to begin testing, wouldn't you?" The Measure Cuts just doesn't really like bullshit, and really likes to take out the whole rat in a maze analogy whenever you piss him off.
Which is always. Unless it's Christmas. The only time of the year he's happy. So now we're heading on to my favorite dreams. Favorite is in air quotes. The first one that we are encountering is what we call meat. This is a dream from the hunter, which is responding to a dream that he sniped from another god. In it, he says, "Meat? Why offer it to them, Kristoff? My sires like to go on and on about flesh, but deep down they fear it. Flesh lives in want of a worthy foe. Spill blood and rot in the moonlight. My sires, you could invite them to a lethal orgy, and they'd spend the entire night waiting to wash their hands." This is a fun example of how characterization is displayed in dreams because you can tell Hunter is possibly having a weird stalking thing, or otherwise he's spoken to SAL before. He has the basic gist of their personality down. So either he's been watching them, he's interacted with them, or he's interacted with variants outside of Redacre because he's really got their polite Midwestern distaste down. Speaking of distaste, can I say that I hate the fact that this game made me say lethal orgy? Because I do. Lethal orgy is a crime in my mouth and a crime to my soul, all wrapped up in a pretty little package that I can now pass on to you, my dear listeners. Remember, lethal orgies. Those are bad words.
Really? The game didn't make you say lethal orgy. You literally chose this dream.
My second most favoriteest of dreams, actually my first and my real favorite, is your lost brother. This is a dream from the Measure Cuts. In this dream, he's answering a question about the idea, and he states, "At the time that he was shattered, I was trying to remain dispassionate, studying our family squabbles with a proper objectivity. I found him predictable. To take any simple request as grounds for revolution." Now, though, seeing what my progenitors have done here, I do wonder. Perhaps the Great Rebel was our stopped clock? When we broke him in that moment, did we prove him right? This is one of my favorite dreams, sincerely, because this is a good example of how information is hidden in dreams. The developers consistently go ahead and foreshadow a great deal of the mysteries that they present to us. So if you're paying enough attention, you will have seen hints beforehand. The Measure Cuts dreams do this a decent amount. Either that or else I'm way overanalyzing them. So if we look at this dream, we can present a little bit of speculation in establishing what we know about the idea's fragmentation. We know Laugh Last was involved and Speak as One performed it. We know no one intervened with it because they really just didn't give a shit. We know the Measure Cuts created a lot of the technology in Redacre, like the sound barriers that's used now. And we know that this warding is when we broke him in that moment. So is the Measure Cuts blaming himself because he stood by, or is he blaming himself because he was involved? Is the idea's current and growing distrust of the Measure Cuts born just from the actions that are occurring now, or is this more deep-seated?
I think you're probably just looking into it a bit too deep because you just really want TMC to run back into SAO's arms.
We are all desperate sometimes, and that's okay. Hallmark Christmas movies have taught me that that's just a part of the season.
At the time this airs, there are a few days left to send us a memory to be featured in the holiday episode. The memory can be anything, just one good or fun memory that you have about the game, from a god encounter, from normal play, or from the Discord or talking to friends. Clips should be 1 to 2 minutes and can be any audio file. Video files will not work. If you don't have an audio recorder, try Vocaroo. The deadline is December 15th. If you miss the deadline, contact us on Twitter or by email, thedreamingpc@gmail.com. Lavanya has been doing breaking news newsletters on our Twitter. They summarize lore from the past week and usually post it on Monday. You can find us at thedreamingpc on Twitter. Cal, Archer's Volley, and Skigulium has made a lore master doc. If you want to see the info the community has compiled so far, check it out. They're trying to source as much info as possible with transcripts and videos, and it's a wonderful project and a huge help. There is also an official interaction archive on the Discord. This archives both God Talks and personal dreams. If you have transcripts or videos, please add them to the archive. There is also an option to allow your encounter to be used to support the wiki, which is heavily encouraged. Join the Discord to get involved at discord.gg/the Blackout Club. The Blackout Club is made by Question Games. Our transcript and video is by Lavanya. Audio editing is by me, Astro. Spoderman is our publicity. Our guest today was SaltyLeighaSolo. Xaviul was sighted at the collapse of the Silver Bridge.